It's in particular on the psychological side, in particular supporting behaviours. That's the point that's being raised again and again to me. And it's also being raised, say, for example, with the special schools, that and the teacher training more generally, and I appreciate that's not your direct remit, but that there's insufficient, like, for example, that teachers, when they're being trained, get a 2-week placement in a special school, but they don't, for example, prepare a lesson plan or do any of the things that they might in an equivalent way do for any other school. And so you have teachers being, produced every year out of the colleges of education who are not necessarily equipped to either take over special classes within the schools. I don't see a career progression for teachers within mainstream schools to take over special classes, and it's being left you have a sense to the designs of the individual principal about finding somebody who has either the experience or the desire to do that. But if you don't have teachers coming out who are equipped to deal with children with additional needs in all forms, then that's going to be much more difficult.
I can answer this really quickly, if that's okay. I know I'm getting a look from the chairperson. First of all, in relation to behaviour, there's been a lot of work in relation to behaviour for the training of teachers and SNAs. There's been a lot of work that's been done in the background with regard to those specific behaviours of concern that are in schools, and there was plans to publish that prior to the COVID pandemic, and I know that work is at a very advanced stage at the moment. Alongside the work the department have done on that, the NCSE have developed a behaviour framework, and we're really hoping that both of those will support schools in the next academic year to meet that very intense needs of basically building that capacity, that universal level, the target level and the very specific level, to build the whole capacity of the school system. Specific to teachers and teacher training, the CAME recommendations around the requirements of teachers, young trainee teachers coming out into the system to have an understanding of the needs of students with disabilities and inclusion. They're mandatory from January next year with the Teaching Council, so that means that every initial teacher training course in the country has to have embedded those practices within their training programme, and there is provisions there in relation to supporting those teacher trainers that are out on their professional training placement, so that will progress in relation to that space. With regard to the SNA, as you know, we've the course that's been running in UCD. There's been an internal review that was done on that, and what you rightly said, that need for students or the SNAs to have greater understanding of the behaviours, to address and meet the behaviours of concern for students, all students with needs, has been looked at, and in response to that and support that, there's an extra module that's actually being developed currently that will be available to the SNAs that are attending that course, an extra module specific to addressing behaviours of concern to build the capacity within SNAs to meet that need. So there's 3 positive moves in that space that I hope that will make an impact in the next school year.
Okay, you understand I'm not criticising behaviours as such, it's really, to get beyond that to allow children to learn.
Yes, exactly, understand, but it's just there's 3 initiatives moving there that I think will really support the system.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy, just coming back to your other queries, because I think it relates to a previous point that would have been referenced in terms of the Deputy, the Chief Inspector's report this year, set a good number of challenges in terms of the appropriateness of special class placements, and I think your question is really probing in relation to, there's a number of facets to that in terms of the NCSE supporting transitions where you leave one schooling environment and going into another education facility and tracking that along.
Do you mean by dual enrollment? Do you mean dual enrollment? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm just talking if you're going from primary to post-primary is just one particular facet of that. The particular area that you alluded to in terms of dual enrollment, of fostering a greater engagement, integration between special class, the whole school itself, and then by wider extension with special schools, that's an area of development that needs to be prioritised. Unfortunately, from our perspective, there would be capacity issues in terms of delivering on that. In terms of the breakdown on placements, that's a very astute observation as well, because it would be our thinking that each individual placement would have to be reviewed on an annual basis, because that lies back to the Chief Inspector's report as well. So there's significant work and progression. We very much would like to have a role in that, but unfortunately, as we currently stand, there are capacity issues with that. Now, I have worked with your colleague at ministerial level. Both ministers are aware of it in terms of additional support and resources for the NCSE, likewise with the department, and we are progressing that with a view to delivering on those very incisive observations you've made there in terms of supporting.
If I could just say, Chair, it's very helpful, very happy to have this committee used to highlight those capacity issues, because where you can have a dual enrolment work well, you can move a child from a special, obviously, into mainstream. It's a huge advantage. And the only question I'd have about the breakdown of prices, if you're saying reviewed on an annual basis, just that wouldn't then lead to uncertainty for parents that their child's place was up for review, as it were. No.
I mean, this would be part of an ongoing review, and it's a consultative meeting. It's a meeting that would take place with the parents, with the involved school management, the special education teaching staff that are very much involved. It's a collaborative process that would have to take place, that the placement is continually reviewed and the best interests of the child are continually being progressed and enhanced.
Okay.